elevation changes everything. Even in the sky, ecosystems follow the same rules. Geography shapes life. Welcome, or maybe welcome back, to another episode of Pandora Through a Biologist's Eyes. For this episode, we are going to tackle something that is pretty unique to this alien world of Pandora. So, we have nothing like it on Earth. And I can pretty much guarantee you this. Because for this episode, we're going to take a closer look on the floating rocks, floating mountains. So they're pretty high up, and these are just the beginning. Because if you look on the map, this is just the beginning of the steps. It goes all the way down, 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 up, and here, all the way to the top. Alright, we're making our way up to the top, and because it's gonna take forever to just slowly walk up there, we are going by Ikran, which of course is a very valid way to travel, because otherwise I would have to make all my way through those rocks, along the vines, down, 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 which would have taken forever, which of course, if you would be interested in a gameplay video of me climbing those floating mountains, please let me know. But I thought it would be interesting to just, take the quick route. So we have those flying mountains, as we can see. We have those lots of little waterfalls going around, and we have more or less similar species to what we can find down at the bottom. The trees here are very broadleaf tree, very green, very lush, which of course, since we are still in the Kinglor Forest, and you're going to see, I'll show you some other floating rocks in the other biomes. They're gonna have their, similar settings with the plants and the general, consistency of the geography than, for example, the floating mountains in the plains have. So for now, I'm just gonna climb around a little bit, and I'll see what I can find. And of course, if I find something interesting, I'll let you know. Alright, so here is this big anemone tree, and we have a caterpillar climbing all the way up. The rain makes it a bit difficult to see. But we also have the big fern that we can see down there. I mean, they're not fern, but call them fern-like, because if you look at them, they're fiddlehead. They're a giant fern-like plant. But as, of course, on Earth, fern has this typical shape, especially the young ones, before they grow bigger, and then they grow to this side, and then they'll unfold, and the little leaf-shaped go to the side like this. I mean, probably most of you have already seen a fern. As with the other plants that are, you can see them worldwide, and also, of course, Pandora or Earth, we've got those little plants that like to grow on top of them. They're usually some sort of parasites, or they don't necessarily have to be bad for the plant, then it's just like commensalism, because they are, if only one partner, which in case would be the plant, has a positive effect but then no negative effect, because the plant wouldn't be affected by it, then it's not parasitism. If the plant is negatively affected by the other plant, then we have a parasite. So if it's neutral and positive for one, then it is not parasitism. But if it's, of course, negative for one, positive for both, then we have a parasite. So that's the basic definition for it. Alright, in the distance we can see those purple trees. I'll make my way over there and I'll see what we can find. Now we're pretty high up, and if you look around, you can see more and more of those floating rocks, floating mountains. You can hear them. They make some very specific sounds, and we are pretty high up. But look what we found. It's a water. It's water. It's a pond of water. Water pond. If this would be, if we would make a comparison to earthen structures, we could compare it probably with some high altitude body of water, probably like some pond. And if this would be Earth, we would have a somewhat unique ecosystem here compared to the ones down there. Because only certain animals would be able to reach up here. Of course, some fish could technically reach here, because on Earth, fish eggs and fish larvae, as in the teeny tiny baby fish, can reach bodies of water. they would never be able to reach by hitchhiking on waterfowl. So sometimes ducks or other birds, they can transport little fishies into areas like this. Amphibians probably could make their way up here too, but it was very interesting to see if there's anything in there. Oh, yeah, perfect. Okay, so I don't see any big chordata animals, so anything that has like a spine. But even just looking at the plants would probably be somewhat unique, considering how high we're up. And that certain plants, depending on how they are spread, of course they could again hitch a ride with birds, but they would probably, could reach it by air if they're, dispersed by wind. But it could be a bit harder, because it's very specific areas, and I'm not quite sure about the wind level. But this area is perfect, or would be perfect, for migrating animals, flying migrating animals. So if it was on Earth, it would be perfect for flying, migrating birds, or just birds of the area, like a natural little bird pool. It's also good because the area, it's just this big rock, which would make it harder for predators to ambush them. So first off, predators have to get up here, because if you look down, we're kind of high up, and all those rocks are connected by those big roots, so they have to be good climbers, and we are kind of high up already. So if we look at this, it would be perfect for birds, just to go there, and now there's rain starting. Now how the water got here, probably a mix out of rainwater, and we can see here, on this side, that the water has an outlet. There's one on this side too. Since this is a big rock, with probably hard ground rock, it's probably not some spring hidden in the rock. Let's see if I can, on the way down, take a better look at this rock. As you can see, it's all rock. Here's the waterfall. As we can see from this rock with the water, there seems to be a more unique purple plant growing here, tree-like, because none of the other rocks in the area have that. See? They're all just green. So we can either assume two things. Either that is like a special blooming form of the other trees, because sometimes they change the color, and since it's in the tropics, the trees don't necessarily have to have the blooming season at the same time. So they would have, like, since in the tropics there's no seasons, it's more or less tropical all the time. Of course, you could have been more subtropical with having like a dry and a rainy season. But so far it seems that... Okay, they're really loud. But so far it seems that these specific purple-colored trees seems to like to grow on this rock, which could maybe be due to the water, because if you look at this, even though they're not directly under the water, they could get some of the water by wind, so they would be hit by the spray of the spray of the mist, which is a really interesting concept. And we do see that in real life locations too. For example, we have lots of the big waterfalls, Victoria Falls for example, which are more from a bushland, woodland, savanna area. And then of course they go over or underneath the falls. We have very lush greens and forests that are sustained by the spray of the waterfall. And if you've ever had the chance to visit, if you do it in rainy season, it's crazy. You can't really see because the mist of the waterfall is everywhere. So they really do deserve the name, which is, of course, they got the name Victoria Falls. But it's the people's name from in Zambia, in this area, or Zimbabwe, where it is, the border area, is Mosi Oatunya, the smoke that thunders, and it's really interesting. So we could probably have that here too. Like, I see the possibility that, this water falls down from here, and then the wind disperses the mist all the way over there, and those trees, they might be that species that, they prefer lots of humid, need lots of water, so that would be perfect for them, and there would be an explanation why they are growing here, but not anywhere else. If I find some more waterfalls with purple flowers, purple plants, I'll let you know. Now we're here on the top of the big rocks, and here we can see a wild Ikran. Just landed here, and it's taking off again. And here you can see another one. Now we can see some more of the animation. So it's landing, doing a body shake. Now, you heard it scream a couple of times. This could be, why do animals make loud sounds? Could be, of course, to, communicate with me. Or communicate with the other animals. So if it's landing here, it might tell them I've landed, and depending on the type of animal, they are very chatty. Some animals are usually quiet, or they make like low frequency sound, like, little rumbles. But they can also be very loud and make loud sounds, depending on, what they want to communicate with the others, or, if predators are near or not. So animal communication is really interesting. And it's interesting that I stumbled upon this rock where I can see this behavior, with all of them landing and ticking in and out. Because so far we've only seen, or I've only showed you, all of my Ikran up close, but now here we can see some wild ones. As you can see, they are all over this place, which is all the way up here. So as you can see, we have lots of short little moments by just exploring the game that I can turn into an impromptu little biology lesson. And here we have another one coming in. Up, and it took some of the plant life with it. Interesting. Up, now we have some funny moments too. Alright, as you can see over here, Ikran aren't the only flying predators we can find up here, as our little, get out of the way, long-legged friend, the greater Tetrapteron, has also made its life up here. Flying in the distance, it doesn't want to stand still, and I am getting crowded here. Up, it pushed me off. Great. But we can also see Acronis here, if you see it fly around and if it would stop still. And it's the one with the bat face, but the wings very similar to those of the Ikran. So we can find lots of interesting ecosystem combinations up here. And we've got some lush trees, of course. So those floating rocks, as we can assume by just looking at the ecosystems on our world, have their pretty unique animals and plants that like to live up here. And of course, being a video game, being programmed by people that probably took some inspiration by real life, it's interesting to, that we can have this comparison. So just walking around, and now we had all three in one shot. Very nice up here. Alright, so I hope you learned a little bit, and since we pretty much reached the top until I got pushed off, I hope you learned something today, and you found it interesting, and maybe you, got a little more appreciation, or deepen your appreciation, a little more enjoyment about our own world, and our own animals that are pretty unique, and of course have their own unique behaviors. So thank you for your attention, I hope you enjoyed it, and with that, I'll bid you goodbye.